We actually have Dino Wrestler dinosaurs today. That's so cool. We have Dragon Ruler with a mix of good stuff and Traptrix as well. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more content. This is actually the result of Pancratops moving to 2. Now we can actually physically mess around with Dino Wrestler good stuff again, which is actually kind of crazy to think about, that suddenly, Dino Wrestlers are back on the board here. Now, World Dino Wrestling, this is their field spell. When you control a Dino Wrestler, each player can attack with only a monster each battle phase. And if your Dino Wrestler monster attacks, it gets 200 attack. Ooh! If your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can banish this thing from your graveyard. So summon a Dino Wrestler monster from your deck. Yes, you can Foolish Burial down the wrestling arena and then bring out, a free Pancratops or one of the other pieces that you actually have access to. And yes, we do play the Tyrant Dino Fusion. Let you fusion some of that Dino Wrestler, and then using monsters you control as material. And then if you do, the first time that monster be destroyed by battle or card effect, it is not. So you put out this Chimera T-Rexel. So this is going to be your Dino Wrestler Link monster plus a Dino Wrestler monster. If this card battles, your opponent basically gets Ancient Gear locked, and then if it attacks defense mode, you get Piercing, and your opponent's monsters cannot target other guys for attacks except for this one. And this thing destroys something by battle, gets 500 attack points. That goes up to 4,000. Please do note that it has a 0 defense here, so it's all bark and no bite. And of course we do play one of the most powerful T-Rexels out here, the 2+ Dino Wrestler monsters. Battles Ancient Gear locks your opponent at the start of your opponent's battle phase. Target attack wizard monster your opponent controls this battle phase. Your opponent cannot attack with other monsters until that one has. And if it does not declare an attack, destroyed at the end of the battle phase. Definitely interesting for the little things that you can do with this deck. Alright, next up here we have the squad is back. Yes, this is a Dragon Ruler sauce pile of using, the Diabellstar stuff in here. So you play the Diabellstar Dark Witch, this stuff, to supplement out and turbo into, some of the little stuff along the way. Jet Synchron is going to give you some little free stepping stones for this deck. I don't think a lot of people have really considered, wanting to mess around with fun stuff like this, To be fair, you do play things like the Kashtira Unicorn. This is an immediate special summon. Now, if you don't have access to Fenrir's, or you just want to special summon out the Unicorn as a wind monster, you can do. You've got your variety of options that you can mess around with just to get the perfect optimized ratios along the way. You do have to remember that you have to discard a dragon or a wind monster for this, so you're just trying to have the little bit of synergy to justify playing lightning, yield Dragon Ruler of drafts down here, just so you can beam out the big guy. Outside of that, you're basically just turboing through and trying to set up. Obviously, Unicorn into the Birth is going to be the best thing you could do. You can obviously extend out the package of Kashtira stuff if you want to. If you want to explore Theosis, more Fenrir's, you have the option to do that. That's one of the things that makes this deck actually super exciting in terms of the deck building process and what you can do. Also, we're just big turbo gas along the way. Nothing else to really comment on this, though. If you want something fun that you want to mess around with, this is going to be one of those options for you. Good stuff. Next up here, super heavy Traptrix. We saw in the very, very early stages, a long while, I can't even tell you how long it's been, that people were starting to mess around with, hey, what if we play super heavy stuff as a generic scale system, alright? Which means, well, not even just as a generic scale system, but, you can set this stuff up and then pendulum summon out how many Traptrix monsters can you throw at your opponent, alright? One of the other things I will say about a build like this is do not underestimate how good, the traps actually can be. A lot of these traps are going to be full extensions slash, the Rafflesia bait. Let's call it what it is, all right? The Rafflesia dropping down one of your, 4 exceptionally broken trap holes for you to do whatever you need to do for like full combo lines is really good. I also like the fact that we another deck out here able to capitalize on Dimension Shifter, throw the wrench into your opponent's plan, and just inconvenience them. At this point in time, I'm not really surprised that we still continue to see the success of this good card. And like most of the modern era decks here, Pankratops has moved right on in to side decks. One Pankratops felt subpar. You didn't want to hardly ever see it. Now we have 2 Pankratops. Now it's an entirely different ball game. All right. And then, of course, I see that we do have Exciton Knight down here getting some actual playtime in the side deck. I guess, you need to board out something, or maybe you just value some of the other resources a little bit better for your main options. But I like this. This feels, once again, incredibly strong. And then, of course, we have Dark World. I was waiting for somebody out here to figure out, hey, we can do something with Dark World. The deck's not fundamentally dead, tears out of the way so we can card destruction to our heart's content. But this card does still see a little bit of play out here, and it is absolutely hilarious to actually see. Now, we do have the Dark World puppetry. I think this is going to help out a lot of people in a lot of different situations, especially when it's going to start coming down to a lot of the Fire King degeneracy that you're going to start to see, especially heading on into Promethean Princess out here. The additional revives. It's not like this deck doesn't gas turbo special summon, especially if your opponent has a Promethean Princess down. They'll be able to choke you out of one of your key exceeds, especially, if you're going for the Giant Trainer or something, just start netting some advantage. That's not going to be a very good thing that you're going to want to deal with out here. Also, this deck is massively the king of still doing this. Now, other little things in here caught my attention. We are actually playing one Lucent. You don't really tend to see that all that much. We are actually playing a Fabled Cerberus. It is a tuner monster, so you can make Baron and Chaos Angel relatively easily with Mr. Level 8 in squad here. Also make, if we're playing on 8, could cheese up with the Silva, but that's not going to happen all that much. I do appreciate getting the chance to see the evolution of this deck. Also, Wanting Moon should be massively free for this deck. Have monster with 2,000 or more attack points. Good thing all my big Chad Dark World monsters, meet the requirements to cross over that threshold. So, good stuff. This is actually very, very nice. I like this quite a lot. And we have a Purely list for you back here. Now, the reason why I wanted to show off this Purely list is this is a little bit different than some of the major things that we've seen floating around in the format. This is actually taking more of an anti-meta approach here, and we're actually playing Dimensional Fissures in here as a chance to detour, these troublesome Fire King matchups. You might not believe what I'm about to tell you here, but, this deck can operate under Shifter. Alright, you just have to suck up your spell cards, or, the first spell that you use, you just have to make sure isn't going to be one that you really care too much about, alright? You got to think about the value that your cards are going to give you in terms of things. I also like that Ghost Spell is moving on into this deck as a main deck hand trap to kind of help you out in a lot of things. And we've also been seeing, oddly enough, Tool Leap has started to show up in the TCG more or less for a potential grind to help you recycle those resources so that, if you start to get blown out or, your opponent has outed something, you can regenerate and head right back on into that to help you along the way. So, overall, not too bad. Obviously, this build's citing some super polys. You can tell that about a mile away down here, but they didn't show it for whatever reason. So, that's all that we have for the sauce for today. Some very, very crazy little interesting things in here. If you guys have had success with anything, please feel free to reach out to me on social media. Send it on over, and I will see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.